Cowboys Nation. How the hell y'all feeling right now?
Yo, this is Neville Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it?
Well, what is up, man? Kelly's here. We had a little early technical difficulties. We didn't get a chance to do a little pre-talk, so we're just gonna roll with it.
We did, and I made it in the nick of time.
Yeah.
I knew there was a problem, and when I was watching TV in the other room, I'm watching Thursday Night Football, and all of a sudden, it just started buffering, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" And then I look at my phone. I'm trying to get my phone to load. It was doing the same thing. I was like, "Ah, shit!" So every time I got to reset that internet modem, man, that thing takes forever to kick back up, and then my computer started acting funky. But right in the nick of time,
It's starting to bring you back. There you go. You're coming back to life. You were a little lagged in there. Let us know in the chat. We didn't get a chance to test it out, but hopefully you guys can hear us both okay. Give us a thumbs up if you're there. Let us know. But hey, man, it seems like hasn't it seemed like forever since the Cowboys played?
It does seem like a long time. It really does. That bye week lasted forever.
It did. And I mean, when you look at that bye week, it's always about, when the time is, what's going on. And I mean, what do you think? You think the bye week kind of came at the right time, or would you kind of the way this team's going, would you like to have seen it maybe a little later, or maybe this will kind of get us right?
No, I mean, you had a bad loss, and then you came into the bye week on a good note. You had that Charger. You had a win. I wouldn't say a good note because there's a lot to clean up. There's a lot of penalties, but I think it came in. I think at a good time though, because you look at everybody now. I mean, I think I saw in the practice report today there was not one person that didn't practice today. Everybody was full participants. I mean, anytime you can see that, 7 weeks into the season, that's a good thing because usually you got guys banged up, you got guys limited participants. I mean, every single person was participating, so that's a good thing. As far as that. Now, I was hoping for a little bit more in the bye week in terms of us maybe making a deal via trade, but it looks like the Cowboys are kind of sitting on their hands, much to the chagrin of the fans and myself.
No, and I was gonna get into it. Let's see here, man. So we'll just jump into it. We're gonna waste no time. And sometimes you got to take things into your own hands. You got to what they call take the bull by the horn. And my man, Swaggy J, I mean, you called up the Denver Broncos. You're trying to make something happen. If Jerry ain't going to do it, you're going to do it. But I mean, really, all kidding aside, do you think the Cowboys would go all in? When I call all in, it's getting a splash impact guy that could help your team win now. Maybe you got to give up a couple picks. Maybe you got to give up a little bit, but you're in that win now mode. You kind of heard Brian Broaddus talk about, I mean, he laid into it about the salary cap and this and that. So yeah, what's your gut feeling? And definitely in the chat, what are you guys thinking?
My gut feeling is that I think that the Cowboys are just they're really stubborn about their rosters for whatever reason, man. They really are. It's like, I'll be honest, man. The one area that I'm jealous of the Philadelphia Eagles is the aggressiveness of their front office. Yeah. Like I think that the Cowboys draft, I think Philly, man, when they see a weakness, they fill it. So
no, they do. I think you're lagging a little bit. Did you drop down to 720? See if you can drop it down a little bit. Because your internet looks good,
hang on a second.
But yeah, I mean that's the one thing that you do. You look at Phil. I mean, there's still noise that Philly's trying to make. I think they're getting another. They must love them Titans. They keep getting them. They got Julio Jones, old dude, but hey, there may be a point in the season where he makes an important catch for them or does something, and getting the safety Bayard. I mean, that was a good pickup for them. They see a weakness and they go after it. So, as much as we hate Philly, you gotta respect their general manager. He goes in and they're gonna do what they can to improve the team now. And it was what Brian was talking about. Everyone thought that Philly was going to be in all this trouble when they signed, Hurts to the contract, and they're still signing people. They're still doing stuff. So, I mean, it can be done if you really want it.
Yeah, I mean, it can. And I think the Cowboys are just stubborn in the fact that they do love their draft picks, and they used a couple of their 2024 draft picks already, in the trade for Cooks, in the trade for Gilmore. So we did make those two. We did make those trades, but you'd like to think that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't want to go into a draft with none of your picks, but you'd like to think if the Cowboys are really trying to go all in this year, that they could get creative. They could package some things together to get a trade and get somebody. Because the thing is, they're not probably going to come very cheap. Now, that being said, I have no idea what the hell the Titans keep doing, getting fleeced by the Eagles, because that's shit ridiculous.
Well, there's one fleecing that you and I talked about in the earlier season, and I know Ultra said, Bayard's not the same player he was 2 years ago. He's still a solid NFL player.
He's better than what they had.
They upgraded. Absolutely.
They upgraded.
And the Cowboys made the moves in the offseason to Gilmore and Cooks. Absolutely good moves. But, I mean, don't stop there. I mean, we all see, and Bland's done a great job. I mean, absolute phenomenal job. But you did lose Diggs. We all know the one injury that I heard, I don't know if it's true, but Mark kind of confirmed us, so maybe it is Tyron Smith had a stinger or something. So today in practice, so they said he's uncertain. I don't know if it's just gamesmanship. I don't know if it's what it is, but you do have some issues at the offensive line if you have injuries. Yeah. So if you get an opportunity to upgrade your roster and make it a little better, I mean, the NFC is, I call it wide open. I mean, you kind of saw what happened, the last two, we've gotten a bye. And since then, the 49ers have lost 2 games. The Eagles lost. The Lions got blown out. I mean, the NFC is kind of, the Cowboys, you're seeing it's really anyone's game out there. It's gonna be a long run.
It will be. And, you like you said, if you get a chance to better your roster, obviously we know this offensive line has been one that's struggled in the run game, not great run blocking at all. Mediocre as far as the pass blocking goes. I mean, look, there's holes on the team is the point. There's holes on the team. But, when I look through the NFC, I agree with you. It is wide open. I mean, you look at everybody's taking a bad loss. We had a bad loss to the Cardinals, and then we got our asses kicked by the Niners, which, that's the Niners are a good team. But look at the Niners. They lost to the Browns and now to the Vikings. And I mean, the Vikings is a team just a week ago, people were talking about possibly picking in the top 5 of the draft.
Yeah.
So they didn't all of a sudden turn this corner. I had somebody tell me the other day, of all people, it was an Eagles fan, saying the Vikings are a legit squad. They won 13 games last year. I said, yeah, and got beat at home by the fucking New York Giants. I mean, come on, man. Don't give me that. And I said, look, this ain't the same team as last year. They just did that without Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
There's no reason that Vikings team should have beat San Francisco, but they did.
They did. And they beat them without Justin Jefferson.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They beat him without Justin Jefferson. The San Francisco's like, well, we didn't have Debo Samuel. I said, well, they didn't have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, probably the best receiver in the NFL. And then you look at the 49ers. They did was that called the tush push? And now it looks like Purdy got a concussion from it. And I don't think he's going to play. They said it's very, very doubtful. They're going to play Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati's going to San Francisco. Could they lose another game? Could that be 3 games for them? It's good. That's what I say. I tell everyone, the game was big. Don't get me wrong. It was more to us than it probably was to anyone, because you want to get that bad taste out of your mouth from the last 2 games with San Francisco. But it's a long season. There's going to be, peaks and valleys all the way through. But I'm just saying, if you get an opportunity to better your roster and you see, I mean, you're looking at these 4 teams, it's Detroit, the Eagles and 49ers. This is pretty much who you're matching up with. If you don't think you can match up well with a lot of 49, make a move that might help you get over the top or might help close that gap. I just live for today, man. It's been 27 years. Live for today.
I already told you what I'd do, man. I'd have me a shirt. I'd have me a shirt. F them draft picks, man. I'd be going into work about Jerry Jones, a shirt on that said that, and I'd be picking up the phone and making calls. Again, I've said this I've said this in the past. I said this on last show that we had. I said I would absolutely mortgage our future for a Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
If that meant giving up this year's first, if it meant giving up next year's first, and even if it meant giving up a second round pick, if you're telling me that I can add the kind of players I need to get me over the hump and I can win a Super Bowl, I don't care, man.
No.
I'm making those moves.
Absolutely.
I'm adding those people to the roster. People have talked about, and now I have heard that Surtain is absolutely not available.
Why would they trade him? I mean,
they said that the rumor that they would trade Patrick Surtain, absolutely not. I believe it was Brian Brodus that reached out to Sean Payton or something like that. All I know is I heard that is absolutely not on the cards. He's not on.
You're not trading a young top 5 cornerback on a rookie contract. I just can't. I can't see it. But I pick up the phone and call. I mean, like you did. You pick up. You say, "Hey, what do you got? Ain't gonna hurt. Ain't gonna hurt."
I called. I was hoping that I was gonna get an answer. So the thing with that video, when I called, I cold called. Like if somebody would have answered, I was ready to go into my spiel. Like I was ready to go in, make a trade deal. No shit. I don't really know how that would have went, but I was ready for it. Went to the damn voicemail and the voicemail was full. So
yeah. I tell you what, man, I laughed. My brother, is a big Broncos fan, and we're sitting in the car and we're coming back and we're listening to it. And I'm like, that son of a bitch he's calling the Broncos, man. He's dying. He goes, is he really dying? And he could hear the receptionist and he was dying. We were begging, like, please someone pick up, someone live.
I know, man.
That would have been gold, man. It would have been
awesome. I thought about it. I thought, man, I should start looking up and seeing if I can find more numbers, because you just go to their directory and it has their GM's number and you can call. And which is obviously probably why his voicemail is full. He probably gets tons of people calling that, fans or whatever, just people prank. I don't know, but it's funny they have it listed right there though. George Payton.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And just a shout out, Steve's asking where you're getting that cool gear from. So Twisted Gorilla is we're going to be partnering with them on some Cowboys Cave gear, some custom shirts. And they do some great Cowboys shirts. They've got the Aubrey one, obviously that one. We got to be careful with our language. Got a little wild on Tuesday night. I don't know if you caught the show, but I was filling in and we're getting attacked a little bit and talking about Cowboys got me going. And we got a little red flag, a little yellow. Yeah, we got yellow card. It wasn't a red card. It was a yellow card saying, "Hey, you're being limited here. Watch the language." So. Definitely, I can't say all the things I want, but you can read the shirt and know what it says. But definitely Twisted Gorilla. Check them out. We're going to be getting some shirts. We're kind of working through some designs with them, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time with it.
Yeah, it's good partnership. They got a lot of good stuff. You can get this one right there. You can order that. Go to twistedgorilla.com and get that. But they got many other things to choose from. And then we're going to have some Cowboys Cave merch for you guys soon from Twisted Gorilla, so you guys will have to check that out and go and purchase your Cowboys Cave shirts. We'll have a few different things that we're bringing out. It's gonna be great, like Mike said. But yeah, man, I just, as far as the team going all in, it's just a frustrating thing. What's more frustrating about it is Jerry's the only damn GM talking about it. Like, he gets asked these questions and he's the only one just running his mouth talking about this and that. Like, shut up, Jerry. Like, just shut up. Don't. Like, we're not going to make the calls. They have to call us.
Yeah.
Come on. Nobody's just up and calling. Hey, Jerry, what would you be interested in Derrick Henry for? Like, that's not really how that works. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, keep us updated. I don't know, Falk. I got to trust my man. He says Josh Allen just threw another interception. He just threw another interception. So.
I believe it, man. The dude's an interception machine. See, That's the difference. The narrative of Dak this last year all of a sudden became he's an interception machine. No, Josh Allen is an interception machine. Since he came into the league, he leads the league in interceptions.
He's played in 2 less seasons, full seasons, and Dak has more interceptions than he does by a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pivot because we're going to get into the Rams and we're going to get into this, but the Josh Allen comment, I don't know how much again, Kelly and I didn't get a chance to talk. We don't take notes. We kind of freewheel it, but I had this and I just thought it was pretty damn interesting. And it's NFLcom's Week 8 Index ranking the quarterbacks. And I just, for the people, you got Patrick Mahomes 1. I don't think you can argue it. Then it gets fun. Jalen Hurts. You got Tua. Matthew Stafford 4. Lamar Jackson 5. Kirk Cousins 6. Trevor Lawrence 7. Josh Allen 8. Jared Goff 9. Justin Herbert 10. Geno Smith 11. C.J. Stroud 12. Joe Burrow 13. And Dak comes in at 14.
That's pretty disrespectful.
I'm not saying Dak's top 5 if you don't want to argue that, but I mean, there's some names going up there, and Josh Allen. We talked about it on Tuesday. Why does he get a pass? Jalen Hurts. The big thing everyone talked about interceptions and turnovers. I believe Jalen Hurts leads the NFL in turnovers at a quarterback. So how is he 2? I mean, if you want to throw 2 at 2, I'm not going to argue that.
Here's my thing too: is if Dak Prescott, let's say he was 7-1. Right? The same as Jalen Hurts, but he was leading the league in interceptions. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you Dak Prescott would be probably borderline 10 or 11 still.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that they would say, well, he's winning, but he's throwing a lot of picks. I mean, you can't throw interceptions you can't turn the ball over like that and still be ranked up inside the top 10. That's a pretty bad list. I've seen a lot of bad lists. I think that was pretty horrible.
I was just floored.
Stafford at 4.
I mean, C.J. Stroud, who's a nice little rookie, and then so the thing I was trying to figure out with this list, in the chat, you can help me out. So where's the criteria? If you're going to say, well, wins matter, Jalen Hurts, they only got 1 loss. Okay. But then you've got, Josh Allen, they're losing a little bit. You've got Trevor Lawrence losing. You got Kirk Cousins losing. You've got Justin Herbert losing. You got C.J. Stroud losing. Joe Burrow losing. Dak Prescott, I mean, they are 4-2. I mean, they haven't embarrassed themselves at all. They're 4-2, a game out of first. So then you say the wins don't matter. It's like, what's the criteria these guys are trying to use? Because I just don't get it. I don't
judging by that. They're throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks from the looks of that list.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's not winning. What's he doing? He's putting up numbers. I mean, Dak Prescott's 4-2. Dak Prescott just went head to head with Herbert.
Yeah.
And had the better performance.
Yeah.
And beat him. And so it does that list just don't make sense to me. I can't look at that list and have somebody argue with me on that and tell me, because there's no, like you said, there's not a pattern there. That list is all over the place. Like, you've got people that are, that have their teams with a losing record. That's just I'm with Ultra. Like, I think Joe Burrow should be number 2. Yeah, I'm just taking about the quarterback out. I'm gonna take the teams and the records. I'm just saying, if I'm ranking them, I'd put Burrow higher than where he's at. But I would, Josh Allen just always seems to get a pass. Herbert always just seems to get a pass. Now Jalen Hurts is getting a pass, and I mean, the idiots that on these talking head shows, they make excuses for the losses and for the bad play and everything like that. Now that when he wins, throwing when Dak won and threw interceptions, it was, here a turnover, they won in spite of him. Now the narrative is, what a gritty win by Hurts. He turned, came back and fought back and da-da-da. It's just like, I just get so tired of it. Man, just be real. Just be real. Hey, Joy Taylor made that list. That was Fred. That was Fred said. Joy Taylor.
Yeah, maybe she did. Yeah,
she might have.
I still say, I don't care what anyone says. I still say something's up. Something's up between her and Dak. She's tried to hook up at some point. It just didn't happen. But hey, I wanna segue into something real quick before I miss it. Where am I at? I can't see. I'm an old man. No, we did that one. Where the hell is it? Oh, here we go. I don't want to forget. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, share. But Sunday, if you're living in Tampa, if you're living in Florida, Kelly, you're only a 10-hour, 12-hour ride away. I expect to see you here. We got the podcast at Live at Henderson's with Tampa Bay's Cowboy Nation chapter. It's going to be a lot of fun. I already know some of our subscribers, some of the followers, that you have and I have already reached out saying they're going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're doing a live show from 11 till almost kickoff. Kelly, I don't know if you're going to make it. Hopefully, maybe you can pop in here or there if you can on the Sunday.
I'll be able to pop in a little bit on Sunday.
But we got Uncle Cheech is going to be live. We got the fantasy, football guys are going to be coming in. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe Eugene might be popping in. We get some other guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get you guys hyped up because it's been too long since the Cowboys have played. So we're going to be at Henderson's. It's going to be a great time. So if you are in Tampa, Orlando, any surrounding area, you want to have a good time. It's a 1:00 game, so it makes it easy. You get home, you got plenty of time. It's going to be fun. So make sure you guys, check that out. And then the other thing, let me do the last thing. I got to give personal big thanks to Uncle Cheech. You see the Scutall. Did you see that money that's in my hand? You're talking $4,000. That's thanks to Uncle Cheech. His locks of the week finally cashed out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my money and run. But that's what Uncle Cheech brings. Vegas Insider. He knows all the stuff. He's got all the insight. If you want to win, you listen to Uncle Cheech. But if you do have a gambling problem, like he said, always please 1-800-GAMBLE. Is it gambler or gambler? It's something like that. But make sure you guys don't lose your mortgage payment.
Yeah, don't end up homeless.
But now get all that out of the way. So we got the Cowboys Rams.
I was gonna say, man, Cheech kind of turned some things around, but I was gonna say that one that backfired was that Lions-Ravens game.
Oh, it did, boy.
Hey. I turned that game on at halftime, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "That was they got a wake up call." But yeah,
but the thing is I told him. There's a trend in the NFL, and I don't know who the made team is this week. I don't know which one it is, but the made team, the one that everyone hyped up that week, lost the following week. From week 1, starting with the Chiefs being the Super Bowl champion, all the way down. So I told him, I said, man, I would not be betting on that game. But anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, we got a big one this week. Well, it feels like everyone's a big one, but yeah, I think this is the reason why I think this is the biggest that we've had thus far is because it's the next one on the schedule, but it sets something up for the following week. And I don't have I don't think the team is thinking about Philly right now. At least I hope they're focused, locked in, laser focused on the Rams right now.
Yeah,
but if they take care of business at the Rams, even if Philly just boat races the Commanders, which is quite possible they could do that, even though the Commanders took them to overtime last time.
They always play them tough.
But even if they get that win, that means that the following week, when we play the Philadelphia Eagles, first place for the NFC East is on the line.
Yeah.
If we win, all of a sudden we're in first place the NFC East. All that trash talk by the Eagles and this and that, all that, but everything comes to an end, and we find out, hey, and we get a chance to do it in their house. So I'm just saying, like, we got a lot in front of us. I don't want to get too much into that game, but it's one of those things where this game becomes an opportunity. You need to win, because if you lose and Philly wins, then well, shit, next week's still a big game, but it doesn't mean as much,
Yeah,
It's not
and I think, and to your point is we don't want to look far ahead. We want to focus one game at a time.
Correct.
But
that's what I say.
We'll do it. We'll do it as fans. The Eagles have a very tough stretch after with Dallas, and then they got San Francisco, they've got the Chiefs, they got at Dallas. I mean, there's like about a five game stretch that gets pretty daunting for them. And I mean, we've got a stretch at the end, but it's an opportunity to widen the gap if they want to, because our stretch, we got a pretty favorable schedule the next, 4 or 5 games, take the Eagles out of it. So the Cowboys just got to take it one game at a time. And the one, I'm telling you, I watched that Rams. You don't want to overlook them. I mean, Cooper Kupp is still, he's there, and I'll butcher his name, but help me with the rookie, the other receiver.
Nakua or something
there
like
you
that.
Go. Yeah, help me out. They don't have a running game. They don't have a running game, right? They
No,
don't have a running game, but they've got some weapons. And Matt Stafford is, obviously
I can
NFL.com
sling the ball around.
highly up. He can still throw.
Well,
So
they'll sling the ball around. They will throw the ball, and you definitely can't overlook them. I think honestly, outside of the 49ers, I think that the Rams could be one of the most talented team we played this year. To be honest with you, I really believe that. I think they're better than the Chargers.
I'm trying to think. I think defensively, well, no, you got Bosa. I mean,
They
I don't know.
You've got, Aaron Donald on that
Donald.
defense.
Yeah.
You've got some pieces on there. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of I feel like that they're on the same level, but I just feel like that with LA, I feel like they have a little bit more weapons offensively because Eckler for the Chargers, he's like, nah. I mean, there's nothing really special. He didn't do anything against the Cowboys. He hasn't, he's had a few weeks where he catches the ball and receives, but he's not really a great running threat. Same thing for, the Rams. They don't really have a great running threat, but when you match the receivers up, I'll take the receivers of the Rams right now with Cooper Kupp and the way that Nakua's playing.
Yeah.
They've got it. Their receiving course pretty nasty. And then who's their tight end? They have a big pass catching tight end.
Higbee.
Who is it?
Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee. Yeah, and I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I think that they're on the same level. They might be, in my opinion, a little bit better than the Chargers, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so I think it could be a good win.
The worry for me is really Cooper Kupp. I mean, he is still just that route runner, and he always seems wide open. I don't know how the hell he's always wide open, but it just seems like he always is.
Yeah, it's it's him who always seems to be getting out. I mean, there's a couple wide receivers in the league that do that. He's one that's been doing it consistently for several years.
Yeah.
Him and I'd put him probably in top 3 of the receivers, to be honest with you. I think Justin Jefferson's probably your number 1 guy. I'd say Devontae Adams for me is number 2. And then I'd probably put Cooper Kupp. I know for a while Jamar Chase was making some noise as being in that, and I still think he's probably a top 5 guy, but I mean, Cooper Kupp, I think, is a top 3 wide receiver in this league. He's dangerous.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, he just always seems wide open. I don't know, man. I look at that and like, why the hell can't we get our guys wide open all the time? But it is, the stat that was out there I was going to touch on. I know Ultra mentioned in the chat was the Cowboys at home have been like unbeatable in the last almost 2 years. And I'd like to take credit for it because I've been going to a lot of the home games. I won't be there today or Sunday, but the Cowboys seem like a different team. And I know there were McCarthy was talking about home field advantage and this and that. I don't know if it's that because I go to the Cowboy games. You go there. There's a lot of opposing fans there. There's a place they want to go. So I don't think we have this
home field
advantage against everybody. We're not a loud crowd.
No. I don't think that by anything, but I do think that there's always something about playing at home. Whether we have the home field advantage or if it's just the comforts of AT&T Stadium. But
yeah,
I think that the Cowboys have had some good, definitely had some good showings at home. And so, I fully expect us to win this game. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think this team is going to allow themselves to get to thinking, too far ahead and thinking about next week. I think they'll buckle down. I think they'll handle business, and I think we can win this game. But it'll definitely be interesting, though, man. Aaron Donald up against that offensive line, man. That offensive line has looked they've looked sketchy in pass protect, and we have not gotten the run game going this year at all. They just can't find holes, and it's not great. It's not looking great right now.
No, I mean, they've got to get something going. So that's where we talk about could this now they've got this defense isn't the defense of a few years ago, their Super Bowl team. They've definitely can get beat and they can get beat good. I think there's opportunity for this offense all over the place. I mean, do you think that this can be kind of that breakout game, get you some momentum, because they're getting a lot of heat. I mean, our offense, even though the points per game is up there and everything else, they're getting a lot of heat and people are just starting to get concerned. one of the concerns is what you and I talked about all off season is the running game. We love Pollard, make no mistake about it, but you still need a beast. You still need someone between the tackles, and I don't know if he's on the roster. If he is, they hadn't used him yet. But and also with the offense, you talked about Brandon Cooks. I mean he's averaging under like 9 yards a reception. This guy's a 15+ yard reception career guy. Always big play. I mean, what's your thoughts on this offense? Can we finally kind of have that game where everyone's hyped up and talking good about them?
It'd be nice. What I would like to see, honestly, is I'd like to see one of those games where where Dak goes for 350, 400 yards, and gets that pass game going and gets that downfield passing game going, because we have to get that pass game going, and we have to start capitalizing on the deep pass, because right now we keep a lot in front of us, and for those teams that can, it just makes it easier for a defense to deal with you. If everything in your pass game is in front of you, it's easier for them to make sure, hey, look, nobody's getting behind us. We can keep things in front, make solid tackles, then it kind of puts us in those positions where, we get a 3 and out or we can't move the ball. Like, you need to take shots past the sticks, man. That's what I haven't seen a lot of with this Cowboys. The deep ball hasn't really been there.
No.
And then
Everything's been
when we
underneath.
need it, no. And when we need it, we struggle to run. And I know that, the Ultra mentioned right now, we're 10th in the league in rushing, but I guarantee you, if you look at those, at that stat, that's an inflated stat. A lot of those yards,
that's why I don't look at those stats.
No.
That's all bullshit.
a lot of those yards have come from some long runs that have been busted off. We're not running that ball down anybody's throat. And when you watch the Cowboys, if you've seen us and you think that we're a team that can run the ball when we need to run the ball, I mean, I don't really know what you've been watching, because it's not been happening. Like, when we need to grind clock and run clock out, they've had to use the pass game to set up the run game. And they wanted it to be the opposite way. They wanted the run game to set up the pass game, and that ain't been happening.
No.
And I get that it's a new offense too. Ultra mentioned that about a new offensive system, but it's something that is also something, though, that, I mean, you'd like to see that start clicking already. I mean, you've had your bye week. You need to get that. You need to get that going. You need to have.
And I mean, I don't have this much time. I've freaking waited for 27 years. But it's just, and I know and that's why I try and tell you, there's talent. I mean, this team is talented. I mean, make no mistake about it. Yeah. Talent is not the problem with this team. The offense has got to gel. They don't do preseason. You don't have the practices that you had in years past. So when you do put a new offense in, you do change up things. They do go in phases, because you can't just dump everything on your guy all in one shot in the whole offense. You're going to have to break things up in stages. I just think, all right, he said 6 weeks. It's now, we're in our 7th game. So 6 weeks in, 7th is here. We should be. This is a team. The Rams defense is, Clubber Lang said, they're tailor-made for us.
Yep.
They our strengths are their weaknesses. So I think that we are going to be able to expose them. And this is a type of game where I think Dak has that game, that breakout good game that everyone's kind of waiting for, multiple touchdowns, all that good stuff. You get CD, he's got to eat. Gallup just, like I said, Gallup just needs to get his couple catches where he makes those acrobatic plays. But Brandon Cooks is the guy that I want to see going. You saw Turpin, get involved in the offense, kind of faded away. I don't know if that ankle injury or something maybe had something to do with it. Definitely want to see the running game get going.
Yeah.
What's your thought? We're both high, preseason hype, of course. Sometimes you have that with some of these guys, but you see Deuce Vaughn. He's not really getting any packages. And the opportunities he had, we just got to call a spade a spade. He ain't look good. He's going against the first-timers now, and he just has not looked good. So he was inactive, the last game. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities. The opportunities that he did get, hasn't looked great. But, it's one of those things where I think it could be an adjustment period for him, just because of the fact that, kind of like we saw with Tolbert, which, again, another guy who's just kind of, where's he at? Where are we putting him? Why aren't we putting him on the field and giving him opportunities to make plays? But, you've got You got Deuce Vaughn, so he's coming out of a place where he's probably a guy who likes to get into a rhythm and needs to get into a rhythm. And he really hadn't gotten those opportunities to do that. So
Yeah, I don't think he's there. If that's what he needs, and he won't be here long.
no, I
He'll
don't.
never be the running back to be able to
No,
get
I
into
don't
a
think
rhythm.
so. That's what I'm
Nah,
saying. And I don't. I mean, I had high hopes for him, but from what I've seen so far, I mean, but I also expected them to use him different as well.
yeah,
I mean, the times that they have used him, they've kind of lined him up out of the backfield and had him running. I didn't really think he was going to be a guy that you would really utilize at the running back position. I thought that you would use him, line him up. You could line him up out at wide receiver, kind of like how the Chargers use Eckler.
yeah.
He catches the ball. He catches the ball a lot. And he lines up at wide receiver. You'll see him act against us. He lined up at wide receiver several times, and I didn't really do much at that position. But it's kind of how I thought that they would use Deuce Vaughn as a guy that you could get him out in open space and utilize that speed, not necessarily to run between tackles because, as we all have seen, pretty short dude, pretty small guy, man, and
Yeah.
it don't take much to bring him down when these guys up here are all playing at pretty much the same, they're all at that same level. So, but
No, absolutely. And
I think
to Ultra's point, there's a reason Tolbert plays special teams. I don't know. I know Darren Woodson played special teams his whole career. Almost his whole career. He's a starting safety. Should be a Hall of Famer in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. So, I mean, sometimes you play special teams, man. Special teams is important. And if you're the fourth receiver, that's pretty much what you end up doing anyway. So, I don't think that has to do anything. I think Tolbert needs opportunities. I think you can get him opportunities. I think it's just. There's nothing wrong with trying some stuff, man, because I mean you're targeting Gallup 10 times for 3 catches. That ain't a recipe for success. I'll tell you that now.
no,
So
it's not. And like I said, I feel like that. I know that Tolbert is making a niche on special teams right now, and first of all, he's playing good on special teams.
yeah,
Very good. Very good.
well, they needed to replace, obviously, Goodwin and what's his name was Kelvin Joseph, who was on last year. They obviously got traded. They needed. I mean, he played pretty well on special teams, so he needed to get somebody. So he's done a good job.
He's done really good on special teams, and he's got himself a nice little niche in there. I feel like he could start carving himself out a position as a receiver though, because I feel like he is more than good enough. Tolbert is like a Cedric Wilson is what I see his role being. Honestly, Cedric Wilson developed that role as a great special teams player, and then once they started giving him some opportunities within the offense, we were like, "Damn, Cedric Wilson, dude, is got some speed. He can catch the ball, make some tough catches." I seen a catch last weekend he made when they were playing the Eagles on the sideline, where he got hit in the back as he's catching the ball, fully extended in the air, and hung on to it. I'm like, damn. I was like, I remember when we had that, man. He was a nice little piece for the Cowboys. Tolbert can be that piece, and I think it's time, in my opinion, to start putting Gallup on the side a little bit, because Gallup hasn't really done anything to justify the contract that he's got. And I thought he was going to look different this year after the knee injury. He had the knee injury last year and he was coming back from that. Obviously, I figured he'd be a different player this year. And thus far, he really hasn't. He had one game where he had a few catches and he looked like he was coming back. But I mean, I'm kind of out on Gallup. I'm kind of like, all right, let's see what we got in Tolbert, man. Start giving him more opportunities.
No, I'm not giving up on him yet, but I do think you need. It's just like you said with Cedric Wilson. You find ways to get these guys in the game, and they make a play or two here. That's why I say, like with the Eagles, they got Julio Jones. We all laugh. I didn't even know I didn't even know. Honestly, I thought he was out of the league. I guess he was, but I thought he retired. But I promise you, there's going to be a game where he's going to have an impact. And that's what you need. You need guys that in big, when the moment's there, they take advantage of it. It doesn't have to be 10 catches. It doesn't have to be 5. It may only be 2. But that's like, to your point, that's what Cedric Wilson did for the Cowboys when he was here. I mean, you had
the impact plays, man.
The other receiver we had he was always fun with the long hair. I can't remember him, but I mean, he was that kind of way too. He was in a couple plays, but he was impactful for whatever he did. So I think that they can get that going. But I think this is an opportunity for this offense to break out. Everything is set up for them. They're home. They're playing a defense that like I said, their weaknesses are our strengths. It should be a pretty good game for the offense.
I think it will be. I do too. I agree. I think that it's a game to build them some confidence going in to play the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a game where, because I mean, anytime you can get a win, it's good. But when you can get a win and you can get kind of, you can get some of your guys in a rhythm and they're feeling good and they're feeling confident about themselves going into the next week, it's even better.
Yeah.
So I think it's an opportunity for the defense to have a good, solid performance. I think it's a good opportunity for Dak to have a good performance. I just think all around it's a confidence builder. But, they got to show up and play, though. They got to show up and play because, we've seen this team when they come out and play flat. We've seen this team, come out and keep a game in it by the Chargers with the penalties they have and stuff. Like they need to play clean ball, man. And that's one of the big things, honestly, I'll be looking for is the penalties. I'm curious to see, is this team going to come out and have another laundry fest? Because, man, it was hard to get a rhythm going versus the Chargers with all those penalties. I mean, the game was just choppy. I mean, I'm watching that game and like even my son was watching it with me and he goes, man, there's been a lot of penalties, huh? Like every other play. And I'm like, yeah, like he noticed it. You know what I'm saying? So if, my 16-year-old is noticing that the game's getting interrupted by all these penalties, there was a lot of them. We need to cut down on that for sure.
Yeah. And I don't get the offsides. The Dolphins had the same thing. And then you're sitting, you watch the replay before they even snap. You're like, dude, that guy's like way over the line. How the hell is he? How do you not know that?
Yep. I saw it. I saw a couple of them myself, and I'm just sitting there going, what are they doing, man? I was like, you can tell this dude is lined up. He's lined up off sides before they even snap the ball. And I'm just like, and then the flag's coming in. I'm like, yeah, it's offsides. And, I'm like, it's funny because when I watch the game with my son, I always feel like I know everything because he's like, how'd you know that? I'm like, I mean, I seen the dude. He's lined up off sides. I showed him the thing. He's like, dang, I'd never noticed that. So when you start noticing that kind of stuff. But, one of the things I'll say about those penalties is that I've seen more. I've also seen more offensive offsides this season get called than I've ever seen in my life. That must be an emphasis by the NFL.
Yeah.
Has to. Because I just feel like I haven't seen a whole lot of that in the past. But this year I've seen quite a few of them as well.
Yeah. The refs and some of these penalties just drives me absolutely insane. Like what was the roughing the passer one
on Jalen Hurts?
Was it on Jalen Hurts?
It was on Jalen Hurts. That was absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah,
embarrassing. The guy took one step.
Yes,
and he did this, and then kind of laid off. He didn't even. His arms weren't even halfway extended. They were like this. You could tell he laid up, but Jalen Hurts took a flop.
Yeah,
that shove was not putting Jalen Hurts to the ground. He took a damn flop because these damn quarterbacks know that if they get contact and they fall to the ground, 9 times out of 10, that flag is coming out. And that's what happened. And that was such a horrible call. Like, I'd be mad. I would think it was a BS call, even if it got called on Dak. If that happened on us.
Oh, yeah. I'd take it, but I'd be upside. I'd say it.
No, I mean, I will take it. But I'm saying, like, if it's a 4th down play, right, and they don't call, and they call that on us, I'd be like, damn, we got lucky with that one. We got lucky because that wasn't no pass. Because it wasn't roughing the passer. What are you supposed to do? You
see those all the time. It's just what the NFL. It's just it just drives me absolutely nuts. It's just
and I think I'm sorry, man. I think anytime that one team gets as many damn penalties as the Dolphins had, and the Eagles have zero penalties, that referee team should have been either reprimanded, disciplined, investigated. I don't give a shit. There's no way that there's one team that commits that many penalties and you don't call one penalty on the Eagles. And I mean, there was a thread that I saw on Twitter that showed half a dozen blatant penalties that they could have called on Philly that they didn't call.
The Cedric Wilson one was a face mask where the quarterback got his face mask
right in front of the ref. The ref is standing right there. You see his head get jerked around. I'm like, what are you looking at? And I mean, and then there was multiple holdings. There was it was just ridiculous. But and I don't say that just because it's the Eagles. I'm saying that for if it was any team, anytime in the NFL, if one team has 10 penalties and the other team has 0, something's wrong there. Yeah, something's going on right there. So
and Steve's right. The Hurricanes, that was probably the only worst ref game against Clemson, but we overcame the refs and the bad calls and pulled out just a phenomenal. It's such a great win. Such a great win to be 2-0 down at University. I've been a little trendy. I keep winning everywhere I go. I'm gonna have to end up going somewhere. But
Yep.
one of the hot topics, and I was just curious your thoughts in the chat. Like I said, Kelly and I didn't really talk much about a lot of this stuff. We're just kind of winging it. I mean, a lot of hoopla about Parsons. Obviously, he's got the show. He's got doing his podcast, doing his thing. So obviously, he came out with the Eagles. They got no weaknesses and this and that. I mean, is he just being complimentary, not giving bulletin board material, or I mean, what's your thought as a fan hearing this kind of stuff?
One thing that I have learned from Micah Parsons is he does not give two shits about what you think or what you feel. Like, he don't care. He just don't. He's gonna say what he want, do what he want. He doesn't care if that pisses off his own fans. It doesn't matter. He don't care. I mean, he's been complimentary. He rooted for the Eagles in the Super Bowl. He has been complimentary of other guys on their roster. But in this scenario, I think that Micah Parsons is playing chess, and a lot of people don't understand the game of chess, is what I think here, because it was a subtle shot at our front office, is what it was.
Yeah.
It was, because he's talking about the Eagles front office, how they are addressing things. They went out and got help. They went out and helped the roster, and that he sees that, and respect. Like, that's a little one of these. The front office, like, what are y'all doing for us? What are y'all doing for this team that's also close, that is saying that we're all in? And the other thing I think he's doing is setting this up by, if the Eagles are the best team in his mind, right, and then we roll into Philly next week and beat them on that stage in their house, then it's like, hey, we just beat the best team in the NFL, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of him hyping him up. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't believe what he thinks in Philly. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I think there's some chess playing going on with this. And I think Micah, he's talked about playing chess, that he's a player of chess. And I think he's also the mental game aspect, because it's that thing in the NFL, there's the physical, but there's a mental part of it too.
Yeah.
And I think Parsons has that mental part of it kind of figured out. Not necessarily with the 49ers.
No.
But with the Eagles, I think we match up well against the Eagles, and I think it's setting up for a great matchup. And if we beat them, you look back to that and be like, we just beat the best team in the NFL. And that's what Micah Parsons is gonna hang his hat on right there.
Yeah. And styles makes fights. I just think the matchup with the Niners, for some reason, is just, I don't know, for whatever reason, with it, they just got us, and it's just, they play up to us. I mean, you see it. You see these other teams, throwing all over them and doing it. It's like, geez, why couldn't we do that? But you could see the energy level was so different between between the Browns and, when they lost to them in the other games. But I think with Parsons, I mean, my thought is it's just a different era. It's a different game. These guys, it's a business. These guys are marketing. These guys are doing so many different things outside of football. Football is kind of their platform to build their brand. I mean, everyone has a brand, and Micah Parsons, he has a brand. And I don't really pay too much attention to it. I never thought about a subtle shot to the front office. I mean, that kind of makes it makes sense. It makes sense to say, hey, man, we're not making those moves. Historically, we hadn't made big moves. Jerry comes out and, his quote was it was taken out of context. He didn't say they weren't looking to trade. He just said he wanted people to come to him. But, whatever it is, Parsons the thing I do know is Parsons wants to win.
He does.
And he works hard, and he gives it all on the field, and that's all you can ask for. The other stuff, what I thought was very interesting is, I don't know if you watched it, but Christian McCaffrey was playing, I think it was the Browns, whatever game they lost last, and they lost. And the guy on the other team was his college teammate. I don't know if they were on the same offense, but they were friends. And the guy went to go do a jersey swap when he was lifting up his jersey, and McCaffrey just kind of like shook his head, said, no, not now. And he didn't do it. And so I think about that, and I think about Parsons, and he did the jersey swap with McCaffrey. Had we won, I wonder if McCaffrey would have said, hey, now's not the time, or if he kind of saw, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting on his side. But Parsons, he's a mark.
when it comes to that thing, man, I don't know, man. I guess everybody's mentality is a little bit different. And in that aspect of things, man, I would kind of like Michael Parsons to be a little bit more of a tone setter. And because we all talk about Parsons and talk about him being a dog. Like, I'm sorry, man, if somebody just beat my ass and then they come over and tell me after they beat my ass and they want to shake my hand,
Yeah.
I don't really want to do that. Look,
Yeah.
you just whoop me. I'm good. We're done. But I'm gonna walk away now and go wipe my goddamn face off and fucking get some fresh clothes on because you just mopped my ass up. And I don't want to shake your hand right now. I'm not shaking your hand. I'll shake your hand next week. But like,
Yeah.
Michael Parsons doing that after we get our ass completely demoralized. Like, if I'm on the field for that ass whooping, man, and we lose like that, I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm not talking to the media. Not doing none of that, man. I'm walking off the field. I'm going to get my head right, and I'm coming back next week, and I'm going to crack somebody's ass. Like, that's the mentality that I want from everybody on that team.
And someone will correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong, but like, I don't see Tank doing that. Like, do you ever see him? Do you ever see him on any show saying the Eagles are the best team? They got no weaknesses. I mean, could you ever see him swapping jerseys with a guy after?
No.
I mean, he does have that mentality. Unfortunately, I mean, he's getting older, but he's still a very important part of this defensive line. He's one of our best defensive players, but
yeah,
he has that mentality. I mean, not a lot of guys in today's game kind of have that mentality. It's like I played that one of my favorite rants. Came up on a timeline anniversary. Mike Singletary.
Yeah.
And when with the whatever his name is, Davis, Vernon Davis, when he threw him off the field, he just can't win with him. Not going to do it. I mean, the whole big thing, and that's a mentality that some of these guys have. But that's Mike Singletary had that mentality. Some of these guys, it's just not. It's just they don't have that. They just it's a business. They don't take it as personal as the fans. We take it personal.
Yeah.
Like, we were sick, right? I mean, all of us were sick after that.
Well, and I think that it does have to do. I think it does have to do with because everything changes from generation to generation. You know what I mean? And we start to, as we get older, we start to understand this younger generation less and less. So some of the things that Micah does, we might not really understand. Like, why the hell is he doing this? Why would you do this? Because this ain't how we've seen it. This ain't what we're used to. Like, for me personally, man, I remember that time that DeMarcus Lawrence told that kid, "Wrong jersey, kid."
Yes.
Kept on walking. I love that.
I love that too. I love that too.
Don't care if that kid was 10 years old or 6 years old and he was balling to his mom. I don't care. Take off that damn Giants jersey. I ain't about to autograph nothing for you. You on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
No, I told you the story with Saragusa. You remember the Ravens? My brother and I met him, and my brother had a Penn State tattoo. He has a Penn State tattoo, and he went to get his autograph. He goes, "I ain't signing your shit." And my brother's like, "What? You serious?" He goes, "Not with that tattoo. Get the hell out of here." We didn't even know he went to Pitt. But that was a college team. He wasn't signing this stuff. But we both laughed and just kind of walked away. But that's the mentality. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah, no, it is, man. It is. And it's funny because you've seen some of these fans, you've seen a lot of these Cowboys fans get frustrated with Parsons. You've seen it. I mean, I've seen the frustrations there. It made the rounds the other day when it's called the Eagles number. Like, why are you complimenting him?
It was
like,
everywhere.
Yeah, they're like, why are you complimenting him? And then Eagles fans are all going crazy. Like, he wants to be in Philly so bad. And this, no, Michael Parsons wants to be a Cowboy. Michael Parsons is a smart dude, and he knows the brand that he can build with Dallas. He understands that, and he understands that brand is the biggest brand in sports. Micah Parsons cannot be the face of the NFL if he plays in Philly. He could be the face of the NFL if he blows up and continues to be the superstar player and elevate that team in Dallas. He can absolutely become the face of the NFL as a defensive player. So usually you see that in quarterbacks. Michael Parsons has that potential to do that as a defensive player, and especially playing in the market that he plays for. And I think he knows that. He understands that. And he's trying to build something right now. So I see it. I respect it. I don't necessarily always agree with it, but hey, as long as he's on my side of the ball, he's on my team right there. Hey man, I'm a root for the dude. I think he's a beast, and hope he continues to to tear through the league.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's still unbelievable. But he got a little slow. I mean, I think this is kind of a game where you could see him break out. You know, he's
Get a
another one
couple
that you could see
sacks.
breaking out of a few sacks, kind of get things rolling. I know he's looking
Well,
forward to
yeah,
that.
I looked on the sack list, and he's kind of down there. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm looking for the top guys, and I'm like, wait a second, where the hell's Parsons? Like, he's down. I think he's got 5, and I think the league leader's at what, 8 or 9.
Yeah. No, he's got work to do if he wants to catch up. But one guy that is doing really, really well. And a lot of people like the PFF, call it if that's your Bible and gospel of what you go by. But Deron Bland, number one, graded out cornerback. I mean, he has been, with the injury to Diggs, and the Diggs injury definitely hurts. Don't get me wrong. It hurts more than I thought. I thought our D line was going to get enough pressure consistently to make it not be an impact. And again, the 49er one that maybe I don't want, that might have been just kind of admiration. We'll see how these next few games go, but he's been rock solid, man. He's been the number one cornerback.
Yeah, no, he absolutely has, and I'm just looking at one of the comments there about Parsons, his pressure rate and pass rush win rate. I think he's number 1 in both those categories. So
Yeah,
Parsons is still having a great season.
well,
Definitely not arguing that. Just
yeah,
the sacks aren't getting there, but those will come as he continues to play with this. So I wanted to address that first.
yeah, and he opens it up for the other guys too. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
yeah.
He's
No one's dogging Parsons.
no,
I mean, he's
he's a
still the
force
best
to be
player on the
reckoned with on that team. I think he's one of the most talented defensive players in the entire league. But coming back to Deron Bland, man, he's been playing really good. He's been playing damn good. Like, I mean, the fact that what's exciting for me, man, is if we can get, obviously this year he's playing great, but I just think about the future of it. Bland and Diggs as your number 1 and number 2, because
Yeah.
Diggs is showing, or Bland right now is showing, he's got the capabilities to be your number 2 guy on the outside.
Yeah.
And a guy that you can have on the outside, and if you need to shift him in to play that slot position, is invaluable in this league, because you've got a lot of wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb's one of them, that he'll move from the outside to the in, and these outside corners, these corners like Darius Slay, Patrick Peterson's one of them, Ramsey's one of them. A lot of these elite corners, they don't travel. They don't travel with that guy, because if he moves inside on the slot, they're not moving over there with him. Deron Bland's a guy that you can carry. You can carry with their receiver. And the fact that you got that kind of capabilities along with a Trayvon Diggs when he comes back, and I don't know what how long we still have Stephon Gilmore for.
I think he's probably just a 1-year kind of thing.
He's still playing very good. So if you wanted to bring him back on another, listen, there's nothing I've seen from Gilmore that wouldn't make me want to bring him back next year.
Oh no, I would. I just don't know what I don't know what he wants.
I'm just saying, if you can get another year out of him, sign him to another 2-year deal, maybe 2 or 3 year deal with him. Absolutely could bring him back. So I'm just thinking the potential and the possibility of what we could have in Diggs, Gilmore, and him and Bland is pretty good. But he has been playing out of his mind and absolutely stepping up and accepting the task of filling in for Trayvon Diggs, which, let's face it, man, many people, that's not going to happen on a lot of teams.
Yeah. No, and I don't want to shortchange Osa. I mean, obviously the D line.
Oh man, he's been
think he's been one who's he benefits from Parsons. He benefits from having it. But that's what you need. You need those guys that Parsons is going to get double teamed. You're going to get triple teamed. He's going to get knocked around. And Tank as well. So you need those other guys to kind of step up and make the plays. And I think that's what's made this D line special.
Well, and you're seeing a lot of. We talked about the depth on this team at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We talked about the depth of this team and how important that depth was, but that it was all over the defense. And you're seeing that with Deron Bland continuing his progression, with a guy like Osa continuing the what he had last year. Awanye Thomas is coming on strong at that stage. I mean, they're gonna have to be taking a long look at that.
LVE got hurt too, and they haven't really skipped a beat at linebacker. I mean, Bell's coming in and
So yeah, you've got guys kind of all over that defense that are guys that are stepping up, guys that are depth guys that we talked about. Hey, this guy might, and I saw the other day that another guy who hasn't done a lot, but he's healthy now. Nashawn Wright is another guy that we might starting to see some things from out there, maybe get some opportunities. But I mean, there's just guys littered throughout this defense that have stepped up and helped the team and contributed. The biggest disappointment on the defense for me this year, and I want to know if this is for you as well. Sam Williams, where the hell is Sam Williams?
Does he still play for us?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if he got in the doghouse. I don't know if I don't know what the hell happened with him.
Something. I know he put a tweet out. He put a tweet out like kind of free me or something.
Yeah, he wants out. He wants out. And I'm like, well, what the hell? I mean, I was expecting him this year. I was expecting a jump this year.
He was my breakout player. He was when we did our breakout.
I remember that. You thought that, you thought he'd be the breakout. I was expecting him to kind of be that guy too. And
does anyone in the chat know what the hell happened to Sam Williams? Is he still here?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. And honestly, if I could ask anybody within the organization, my question would be to them is, what did he do to get in the doghouse? Because he's obviously in the doghouse. They're not even putting him on the field. I mean, he's not even getting. I don't
snapped. See him. Like I see Fowler. Again, when you're watching the games live, it's hard to. You don't get the.
My thought process with that is thinking like, okay, we saw the talent from him. He can get after the passer.
Yeah.
So how can you keep a guy like that on the bench? I mean, obviously it's working because they're doing great. I mean, they're not. It's not like they can't get after the passer, and that pass rusher is an area where we need. But you would always think that fresh legs to be able to rotate these guys in at will, and the fact that you have another guy who brings that added dimension that can put pressure on the quarterback, it's a head scratcher to me. I don't know what happened, but he's definitely
he got arrested again.
Did he get arrested?
No, but that was Jerry made a joke about that. Maybe
you have to say, did he get arrested again? I mean, because that was in the offseason.
I don't know if it was arrested. Maybe I'm missing it. But is that
he had the gun with a vape pen of weed. And he did get arrested for that. In Texas, that's a felony.
Yes, that was it. Speed. That was the one where Jerry made a joke
that he was going slower this time. Yeah. Great joke, Jerry. Great joke. But no, that was in the off season though, before the season started. Certainly they're, I guess maybe Ultra said they're sending him a message about, his immaturity. Maybe that is what that could be the only thing I can honestly think of.
Yeah, there's got to be something in internally. I don't think it's performance because I think he's got talent. He's not getting any opportunities.
Well, and so that's the thing too. We sit there and we talk about if we can improve this team and if we want to do something. Well, if we got a guy like Sam Williams and you're not going to put him on the field, I mean, see what another team's willing to give up for him, because maybe you can get an offensive lineman from another team that's willing to get a pass rusher, or maybe you can get a defensive back for somebody that wants a pass. If you got a guy like Sam Williams just wasting away on your bench, don't just let him sit there because you're pissed at him. You want to send him a message, then send him the hell out of town and bring something in for him. So that's another puzzling thing for me, because he's got talent, and I guarantee you there's a roster out there that could use him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it's wasted talent for sure. The other one, Randy Gregory ends up in San Francisco. I don't know. And the game, and again, I didn't study the game, but everything I've seen, he's been playing pretty well for San Francisco. Maybe he's got it. Maybe a fresh start for him is what he needed out of Denver, because he was terrible in Denver.
Yeah, it was not good at all. They were willing to part ways with him after 1 year on that contract, and they ended up eating some dead money.
Yeah.
But, I'm never to the school of thought that if you've got a guy that has talent like that, which we've obviously seen with our own eyes, the talent and explosiveness from Sam Williams as a pass rusher, you don't let that just sit on your bench and just waste away. You either get him out of town and trade him and pick up an asset, or play him.
Or just play him and deal with it. I mean,
exactly.
That's what they've done before. I know they said they're never going to. They're never going to give up on. They didn't give up on Randy, so I going to give up on Sam. Pass rush is too valuable.
Then let him play.
Deal with it. If he gets suspended or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, then let him play, because that's a stupid message to send. They're like, hey, we're pissed at you, so we're not going to play you all year. We know you've got an elite talent in terms of rushing the passer, and you can get back there in that back. But we're going to sit there. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
We're going to let you sit on. Nah, hell no, man. Let them play, man. They let Randy Gregory play. But the Cowboys are not scared.
And who's the other guy?
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
I mean, they let that dude play, and I mean,
there was another one. I'm missing another guy that was like he had the Kwame bleach front, the old school high top. What was his name?
I know who you're talking. David Irvin. Irvin.
Shit, man. They let him play a bunch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
and he was in there. He was good when he actually played.
He was, man. And that's what I'm saying. The Cowboys have never been shy about letting guys who are troubled players play.
Yeah.
I mean, so why start now? Why start
now?
Don't
go finding the Lord in the season that we're trying to win a Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. Let's don't get all crazy there and I don't know. Let him play. That's
like
puzzling
Jimmy Johnson. Some coach always said, "Hey," or no. It was when it was Jason Garrett's dad. Was it? Yeah, his dad was on the Cowboys coaching staff or whatever, and they were they were talking about drafting Randy Moss, and he was the one guy in there. And he's like, they wanted to pass over the issues in this. He goes, "Look, guys, man, you ain't drafted choir boys here. You know what I'm saying? It's like the dude's an unbelievable talent, and you got to get him. You can't pass up on him." And they did. And sure, I mean that is one of those decisions. I mean, if you really want to talk about changing a franchise, it really changed the franchise because you got to think about it. You would have had Randy Moss and Michael Irvin. I mean, Michael Irvin near the end of his career, but you would have had Randy Moss there with Troy Aikman. Could have extended Troy Aikman's career. If Michael Irvin, hindsight, you don't know what would have happened in Philly or how they would have been like. And there was so many things happen with that, decision to pass up on Randy Moss. And I understand it. Michael Irvin took a lot of heat for it because the trouble he got into, it kind of put the Cowboys in a bad spot. But boy, they paid the price for that one.
They absolutely did. Now, you got me thinking of that when you said that about the Moss thing. Did you see the tweet? I had to grab my phone real quick, see if I could look it up real quick. But
yeah,
did you see the tweet that said, God, it asked, who are you taking? And it had, there was a roster. One roster had Dak as the quarterback. The other roster had Romo as the quarterback. But the one with Romo, your offensive weapons were, it was Zeke, Michael Irvin, CeeDee Lamb, and Dez Bryant, and I think Travis Frederick, and the other one was like it had Dak, and then it had God, who are the receivers on that? Terrell Owens, Austin, somebody else. Anyway, I looked at it though, but the one with Romo, I'm like, dude. I mean, nothing against Dak, but I'm taking that roster with Romo. I said,
yeah. Well, I just heard the receivers.
If you give Romo Zeke, Dez, and Michael Irvin and CeeDee Lamb, the 388s. I mean, obviously you're leaving out there Pearson or whatever, but I mean, dude, that's unstoppable. That's unfair. That's unfair. Yeah. That roster's running straight to the Super Bowl, man. Like, I don't care how bad the defense is. That offense is scoring 50 on everybody. Like, that's a ridiculous offense.
No, and I mean, Romo,
Moss and Irvin thing.
Yeah, I mean, and Romo, obviously that 2016 season, you wonder what might, with him. But yeah, I mean, his body just, that was a problem with Romo's body just broke down.
Broke down, yeah.
It just, it is what it is. But he was one to just, and it's unfortunate, just could not get it, couldn't get going in the playoffs for whatever reason. And obviously we talked about Dak the same way. And and you wonder, is it starting to become do you keep putting on these quarterbacks, or is it just the franchise and the culture and everything that's created with this team? And then like you say, you see Jerry, and we can all talk a million times about this. Nothing's ever going to change. He's the GM, ain't going nowhere. When when it's his time to go to the upper room, his son is going to be doing the same thing. I don't see anything changing. I always say if the Cowboys want to win a Super Bowl, they got to win in spite of it, because he's always going to want that attention. You saw it yesterday, 100 microphones in his face. I mean, I don't see any other GM with 100 microphones in their face.
No, and you always have to wonder. I'm always just like, man, what is it, man? Is the Cowboy, are we cursed? Is it Jerry Jones? Like, I've asked myself a million times, what are all the questions? But then honestly, what I feel like the main thing that we often all dismiss, I dismiss, I think a lot of people, it's just hard to win a Super Bowl. I look at it, and there's 18 teams in the NFL with a longer Super Bowl drought than the Dallas Cowboys. And one of those teams is the San Francisco 49ers, who have had a lot of great players go through there, just like the Cowboys, because we were like, well, the Cowboys, man, they've had some super talented rosters, man, and just never got it done. So have the San Francisco 49ers.
I don't want to sound like an Eagle fan. They've been, at least there's been opportunities. Like Dallas have had some teams.
Yeah, no, and I get that. That's the main criticism, was like, all right, Dallas, you haven't got past the divisional round. And you're right. A lot of shit has happened, and some crazy plays, some crazy calls. Like, it just seems like things never fall our way.
When we're the better team, like, I don't mind, like the Rams. Rams are better than us, right? I mean, I'll give that. They were the better team. So when you lose a playoff game where the team obviously was better than you, it's a little easier to take.
Yeah.
But we've had several, right, where we were the better team.
We lost to the inferior team.
Yeah. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, and it's hard to say that now after 3 straight times, but I thought the last 2 years that we were the more talented roster over San Fran, and the media did too. A lot of the media.
I thought we were the first year. I felt better. The first one that was in Dallas, that shocked me. The second one, I thought it was a coin flip, but I was really surprised.
I still liked our roster, man, over them. Me personally.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's hard to say that.
It was a close game. It wasn't like we got blown out of either one of those.
No, we were in both of them, and then so it is a tough pill to swallow there, and I've thought that there have been plenty of times, man, the Cowboys had the better roster. And I thought, damn, man, if only, if only, like, you think of that, the botch snap in Seattle.
Seattle, we were the better team.
We're lining up to kick the field. We won that game, man. We won that game. Dallas won that game. They earned that win. And just one of the flukiest things ever. Rain, wet ball comes, and what's funny was that after that year, then they started allowing for a fresh, clean ball.
Of course.
Man, damn rule changes have happened because of the Cowboys, but they make the rule change after we lose. The catch from Des Bryant that wasn't ruled a catch the very next year, then that is a catch. Like, man, Cowboys have been jobbed out of so many shit. I can't even get started.
I'm telling you, things, but I've talked about it on our show whenever we bring up Seattle. The play to me always is, we had a first down with Jason Witten, and they mysteriously reviewed it. They reviewed it and said they called him short. You never saw the ball. You never saw anything. The game, that would have changed everything. So then they ended up, the field goal thing. It's just weird things happen to Dallas. You go to the Giants, right? What was that, 2007? 13-3. The Giants are 9-7. We're at home. You have the bye. Everyone loves coming off a bye, right? Now you're well rested. And then we just have kind of the weirdest game. You had the Patrick Creighton drop, the easy touchdown that dropped there. And then you just had like weird things going on. Like, if my memory's right, I think we were leading by halftime. So, I mean, it was one of those things where you thought, we were going to be fine. And it just we never could pull away. We could never catch up. It was just like it's just one of those weird games, man. It's just, but it's every playoff game. Every playoff game has a story.
It was, man. And it's unfortunately we've been just on the wrong end of a lot of heartbreak and misery, man. And we're still sitting in here, still hanging in, and
we're still hanging in. But it is, like you
better
said,
days.
To win a Super Bowl is hard. I mean, someone put Tom Brady, and you really think about it. So Tom Brady won 7. Peyton Manning, I think, didn't he get 2 during that time? You had Breeze get 1. You had Roethlisberger get a couple. You had about 5 Mahomes. You had like 5 quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl the last
won multiples.
Yeah. So it is hard to win. and the Cowboys, like people dog the Cowboys. We've had a competitive team since Romo, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we haven't had those seasons except there was a
2006.
terrible injury, to Romo or terrible injury to Dak. I mean, Dak's never had a losing season since he's been the
No, and
starting.
I think that's what probably makes things tougher for Cowboys, because at least if we were a horrible team, we could just accept that we're a horrible team. We're an organization that's not ran well.
Yeah.
We don't draft well. All of our signings and any of our trades, they blow up, they backfire. If we're just a horrible run organization, I think we got to all look at it and just be like, man, we just got to ride this thing out. I don't know how long it's going to last. But it's that we're always feel like we're so close. You look at these rosters and you look at these rosters, you're looking at that 2007 roster, you look at the 2014 roster, you look, and you're just like, oh my God, this team is so talented. Like, I feel like we're better than everybody out there. And you convince yourself like we could win the Super Bowl. This team is a Super Bowl team. And then you have these heartbreaking losses and you're just like, damn, like what in the hell is going on? Because since 2006, now you're talking about that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, it's 16 years that we've been feel like we're right there, but we're not. It's like we don't get past that divisional round. And that's what feels so just discouraging, man, frustrating.
You think that I keep saying this is like once they do, it's like gonna explode. Like the pressure. It's almost like that Steve Young. Get the monkey off when he finally got over that hump. I think that's going to be the case with Dallas. If they get to the championship game, I think they roll. I just think that all the pressure and everything the media has put out, because this team they live with the pressure. And Dak Prescott was kind of talking about it, and he said you can't ignore it. I mean, I've been here 8 years. I mean, it comes with it. Because you wonder, this guy, I've never seen a quarterback get slinged through the mud so much for no, valid, personal, not like talking stat. Just personal for no reason. It's just kind of, it's got to be tough to be him, but he has a way to just let it roll off his, shoulder and not think much about it.
Yeah. And I just feel like this team, as much as they say they don't listen, I feel like they do listen to the media a lot.
Yeah.
They do.
You have to.
You hear Michael Parsons talking about the media on his podcast all the time.
Yeah.
So that they're listening. So I feel like they listen when people are talking about how great they are. I feel like they listen when people talk about that they choke and they can't get past this point. And I think it's become a mental aspect. And I don't know, man, if Mike McCarthy needs to bring in Tim Robbins to give these dudes this motivational, snap out of it. Like, you can do this. I don't know what they need to do or what needs to happen, but there's something about this team that when the moments become the biggest, and that's in the playoffs for the last couple of years, it's like they just freeze. It's like the plays that they've been making all year, like the routine shit. It's like, where did that go? What the hell? He dropped that ball. Like, oh my God, how did he just drop that ball? Or, it's just inexplicable. You look at Dak this season, and he hasn't been turning the ball over. And then all of a sudden he talked about, you got that game and the 49ers, he threw 3 interceptions. He's only got 4 on the season, and 3 of them were to San Fran.
Yeah.
So, he hasn't been turning the ball over. He's been efficient as a quarterback and looked great. And then he gets in that moment. It's just like a deer in the headlights.
He calls for it. He calls for the moment, though.
He does.
Right?
He does.
But you guys are trying to piss me off and da. I mean, he welcomed it.
He does. And eventually it's like, okay, man, words are words, man. We got to see action. We got to see action from you. And man, I love Dak, and I hate having a bag on him sometimes. I really do, man. I get absolutely no pleasure in that because I think he gets it enough from the media. And I want him to win so bad so that I could just take that pill and I can shove it right down people's throats all day long, man, because I think Dak is talented enough to get it done. And I think you believe that too, man.
Absolutely.
And that's what's frustrating.
It's frustrating because this team, like we said, not to jump back, but it's just the NFC. You look at the NFC and it's there. Their opportunity is now. And that's where I tell you, that's what we talk about. you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. Injuries, anything. God forbid something happens to your key guys or something. You got to be in the now. And that's like what Brian Broaddus was kind of talking about. And that's what a lot of the fans are like. If you got an opportunity to do something, and I'm not saying, hey, you can't make a stupid deal. So, I mean, I understand it. There's got to be, you can't make a dumb deal.
Yeah,
but
don't make it just for the sake of making it.
yeah, if the opportunity comes up where you can get somebody to get your team to the next level, because you got to look in the mirror and you got to say, okay, you got Philly, you got San Francisco, you got Detroit. We're going to call those the power. Can we beat them? Well, we don't know about Detroit, but I think we could beat them, right? We haven't played Philly yet, but we play them pretty good. But you got this team over here that's whooped our ass, and there's something. We've got to change the balance of power against that team, and if we can add something to make it happen, or it's like Charles Haley when he came to the Cowboys. The mental side. If you could find someone, I know it's not easy, but if you got to try, And
I'm telling you, I'll bang the table. I don't think it's gonna happen. I've released it from my body and my mind because I can't deal with being let down anymore. It let me down enough. But Derrick Henry,
I'm telling you, that's the attitude. That's the attitude he brings.
He is physical. He's as tough as they come. He's not gonna shy away from a moment. He's gonna want the ball, and he's gonna want to punish that defense. And by the fourth quarter, that 49ers defense ain't gonna be wanting to hit no more.
Yeah.
And then that's when you bring Pollard in, and you can
use Pollard for what he's great at.
Yard run, yes. And so I feel like that. I really do, man. I really feel like running back is the area that we are lacking on the most right now. It's just not. Just something's missing from it. Something's missing, man. And I look at what Zeke's doing in New England. I think we could have used that here in Dallas. I really do, man. Zeke's not doing bad at all. He's not having a bad season this year. He's being productive for the New England Patriots with limited opportunities. They're not having to give him a bunch of carries. He could be doing that in Dallas, right? So I look at a guy like Derrick Henry. I would even look at a guy, honestly, who I was banging the table for in the offseason, Dalvin Cook. I don't think the Jets are going anywhere, and Dalvin Cook's not even getting used over there in New York.
No, he don't get nothing.
He's not. So, I mean, he's a guy that, he's just sitting out there. I guarantee you pick up the phone, call New York. Hey, they picked him up in free agency. They don't really have anything to lose. They got a guy signed to a short-term deal, and they can get a draft pick for him. Hell, they probably get rid of him for a 6th or a 7th. But either way, pick up the phone and call somebody. But I mean, Derrick Henry, the Titans have said that they're shopping him. They've put it out there. They're shopping him. This is last year deal. They're not going to bring him back. They're not competitive. Bring a guy like that in. That's the guy that you're talking about. The attitude, the toughness, the physical. That's what I'd love to see us get, man. If we got him, man.
I'm with you, man. I'm looking at. I mean, that would be Derrick Henry. I love running backs, so that's.
I'd probably go buy a Derrick Henry jersey. Honestly,
I might. Yeah, go get one, man. I'd love it. I mean, I love watching him run, so that'd be something. But yeah, so anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. It's been an hour and a half, but just want to thank everyone. I know it's football. You're kind of watching football. I don't even know what the hell the score is. What's the score on that? Do we got any? It was 10. Anyone got a score in that game? I don't even know. Got to be getting close to halftime, but make sure if you guys are watching the replay, do whatever. If you hadn't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that share. And like I said, we are going to have a special show Sunday, 11 a.m. We are going to be live at Henderson's. It's in Tampa. We're going to be with the Tampa Bay Cowboys Nation group. I mean, they got a lot of stuff going on. I think they're doing a giveaway raffle of a Jason Witten signed jersey frame, so you can do that. That's a great thing. I think you can even do it without being there. I'm not sure. I don't want to make the rules, so don't quote me on it. You can go find out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to have guests popping in and out. Maybe Jerry might make an appearance, kind of say hello to the crowd or something like that. So you never know who pops into the cave when Kelly K9 and I are out here. So make sure if you guys are local in the area, come out to Tampa, hang out with your boy. We're going to have a good time.
Yes, sir. And Cowboys Nation, we are going to be back next week, hopefully fresh off a victory. And going gonna prep you guys and get y'all ready for that game against Philadelphia next week. So, like Mike said, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Let's keep this thing moving. We're getting closer and closer to the 2,000 subscriptions. Once that happens, we're doing a raffle for a Fred Jones Cuts by Jones special cut for the cave. So do not forget, spread the word, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tune in to the best show on YouTube with Cowboys content that you can find with me and your boy Mike. And until next time.
And you blew up today. So Swaggy J is in full force and we're getting this thing rolling. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll be back on Wednesday, our regular time. Unfortunately, sometimes work gets in the way. I'm starting to get aggravated with that. But
sometimes
somebody's got to pay the bills. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, we'll see you guys. We appreciate you hanging with us.
Is going to be commencing real soon because we're getting ready to get this party started. Can you feel me? Can